Hey guys, welcome to this football podcast. Sixth podcast over here. We have got Hirak from Red Army Kolkata. Hey Hirak, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. What about
We
you?
I'm doing great, man. We have got Rohan from Delhi Capital Blues, and we have got Sarang from Manchester City Delhi Supporters Club. Hey Sarang, how are you?
Hey man, all good, all good.
Okay, to all the subscribers, to all the viewers who are gonna watch this video afterwards, we have had a terrible experience with the internet, and that's why we thought of kind of recording the video and then pushing it to the internet. So guys, without any not just delaying things over here, right on the meet, Premier League is coming back tomorrow. How you guys are excited? Do you guys are excited? Are you guys excited about the same?
Yeah,
Um,
of course, it's a great feeling to have the Premier League back after a 1 month of gap.
Uh-huh.
Though me being a Man United fan, I still got to wait for one more week because our season starts on 19th.
Yep, yep,
But
yep.
but it's among us. I guess it's only Chelsea whose season starts just tomorrow.
Manchester City starts when? Next
Man-
week?
Manchester City also
yeah,
next.
City also starts next week.
Okay.
All clubs I think who were in the Champions League last season,
Uh-huh.
or like later stages of Europe, they've been given another week off.
Okay, okay. So, everybody is excited about the Premier League coming back. I believe we just had to wait close to 47 odd days for the Premier League to get back because of the COVID situation and everything. So, before moving to the Premier League, just wanted to understand how this COVID situation has been for you guys. Everything fine? How's the work going on? How's everything over there?
I think all's been it's okay. I mean, it, it could have definitely been better. We're all pushing through. All of us
Uh-huh.
are. I have online college. I think the others have are working from home as well. So, I mean, it's obviously unprecedented times, but we're trying to push on as we can.
Uh-huh. What about you,
Yeah,
Sarang?
same here. I just graduated law school and joined my masters. So just starting with online classes, coping with these changing times, and just trying to focus on football and you know take my focus away from the rest of the world perhaps.
Okay, what about you, Hirak? Because these two guys are from the NCR region only. What's there in Calcutta?
Although right now I'm not at Calcutta, I'm at Bangalore. But
Okay.
again, it has more been again getting used to the new normal,
Uh,
and also trying to work from home, and parallelly, as others said, trying to put my attention to football, be it club football or international football, just to stay away from this ongoing COVID situation.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. So moving to the Premier League, the first pointer that I would want to bring in over here is the transfer window. So we have had our transfer windows. It's still open till believe 2nd of October. It's still 2nd of October. So there's almost a month that is left for the transfer window to close. But I would start off with Manchester United because I know that Rohan is gonna speak and speak and speak because you guys have signed like a new entire 11 for you for Chelsea.
Chelsea
So
mostly have got a new team. It looks like they are on a FIFA career mode actually.
so I'll start off with the team who has signed the least number of players, which is Manchester United. Donny van de Beek, the only player that we have signed till now, talks about Sancho going on and on and on. Talks about Alex Telles as well coming in for the left back position, but talk about Donny van de Beek and how do you think that he's gonna improve the squad because he was heavily linked with Real Madrid last season with Frankie De Jong going to Barcelona and Donny van de Beek going to Real Madrid. So how do you think that he's gonna improve the Manchester United team?
Yeah, so Tanmay, as you mentioned, so Donny van der Beek to me is a steal deal because at the price we have got him, 40 million pounds, and
Yep.
also the player who was initially linked to Real Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
So getting him from there, firstly, a very good deal.
Yep.
Secondly, if you analyze, every good team needs to have a very good squad depth. Manchester United had been missing that good squad depth.
Mhm.
We had in the last season, post COVID or post Bruno Fernandes signing, we had very good glimpses of a good midfield. But then we cannot be relying always on the due of Pogba or Bruno Fernandes.
Mhm.
So with Donny van der Beek, who also has played at deep role at times as a six, at times as a number eight.
Mhm.
So this provides us a chance to also have a spare option at times if Bruno Fernandes or Paul Pogba isn't playing.
Mhm.
So so to me, ultimately, Donny van der Beek, a very good signing and also a signing for the future because he is just 23 years old and
Mhm.
and a very good height.
Mhm.
Plus, he has the ability to play box to box and also find the spaces.
Mhm.
So to me, just a one signing, but a very good signing.
Cool enough. Cool enough. Coming to Sarang, you guys heavily linked with improving your defense again. Uh, you guys did improve it a couple of transfer windows back, but now you have signed. Who was coming from the Bournemouth?
Nathan
Nathan
Ake.
Ake
Nathan
from
Ake. Yeah,
Bournemouth,
yeah, yeah.
and we've also signed a winger to replace Sane, Ferran Torres.
Ferran
Quite an
Torres. Yeah.
exciting sort of Spanish international,
Yep.
pacey. So the main problem at City has been the defense, I
Uh-huh.
think, and even though we kept the most clean sheets, kind of ironical,
Uh-huh.
but sort of the team built from the back and
Mhm.
a strong defense. I think we never really replaced Company after he left last year, and Otamendi is past his prime, and Stones hasn't stepped up.
Uh-huh.
So I think we're heavily linked to Koulibaly, which I think is a solid like player like Koulibaly, Laporte.
Mhm.
That sort of combination I think would be one of the best centre back pairings in Europe
Uh-huh.
if that happens.
Uh-huh.
So the focus is that, and also I think we've been linked, or there have been rumors of signing a backup striker
Mhm.
because sort of City lacks height in terms of
Yep.
finishing,
Definitely.
and Aguero is on his last year of contract, so eventually
Mhm.
he will need to be replaced.
Mhm.
But I think the focus right now is defense. City perhaps has the deepest squad in Europe, so we don't need a
Mhm.
rebuild. We need just
Mhm.
like a couple of signings, a
Mhm.
defender, a left back maybe, and a backup striker, and I think
So
this squad is set.
are there only two signings still now, Nathan Ake and Ferran Torres?
Yeah, yeah. Only two signings have been made.
Uh,
We have been linked to Koulibaly a lot. I think it should complete like within a week.
yeah,
But
yeah. Even
Napoli is like a
Fabrizio has, kind of when Fabrizio talks, everybody sees, yeah, yeah, because if he talks, then the player is almost coming in. Like even the last time I was talking to Jaydev from Manchester City Delhi Supporters Club, he was also telling me the same thing that we haven't replaced Company in the back, and it's a huge miss. Similar to what everybody talks about Manchester United, after winning the last premiership, they lost the ground. But you have to consider the fact that in almost 2 to 3 years time we lost Vidic, Ferdinand, Evra, Scholes, Giggs, and that was the core of Manchester United along
yeah,
with Sir
yeah,
Alex Ferguson. Yeah, so definitely
Exactly.
I believe Koulibaly would be a great addition, and great to see him in Manchester City rather than in Liverpool. I believe he had a very strong connection with Liverpool as well, and him and Van Dijk, I believe that would have been impeccable defensive partnership.
I think United bid for him also. If I read somewhere that they
That
bid
was
110 million for him last year, but that got rejected. I think Napoli's president was saying the other day that she got a bid. I'm not sure, but then you guys
uh,
bought Maguire, I
Maguire.
think.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but
So
I think that has been the tradition for every window that United normally gets linked to more or less any certain player on this
Planet.
planet, more or less. So that's a common thing. And I don't think Kolibali was actually on our targets, at least under Solskjaer's plans, because we are more looking to a left-footed CB these days, actually.
Hmm.
okay.
Even like Maguire gets a lot of shit, I believe, but then
It's called a
United.
fridge on wheels, I believe.
Yeah.
I think United are still going for a centre back right
Yeah,
now. I
they
think
will
yeah,
definitely,
they're
because of the
looking for
fact that,
replacements
so
for
we have to consider the fact that last season, though you guys you had the most number of clean sheets, but you guys conceded what, 35 goals in the league. Liverpool
Yes.
conceded 33 goals and United conceded 36 goals, and that's not a big difference
Yes, sir.
if you may want to talk about that. But coming to Rohan, who has a lot to speak about their transfer window, almost getting so they are still linked with Mendy. I believe he is almost a Chelsea player now. They are also linked with Declan Rice, that will take their transfers to 10 players, I believe, this season.
eight. Eight.
8
We
players
all
this season.
right now it's six. Mendy should be our seventh
And
signing,
Declan Rice.
and Declan Rice, if he comes, he will be the eighth signing. But Declan Rice, although Lampard does see a future in Declan Rice
Uh-huh.
in a deeper midfield role or
Mhm.
perhaps as a centre back
Mhm.
is for us to see
Mhm.
because we don't know yet. If he is to play centre back, then we're definitely going to see one of our centre backs leave,
Mhm.
be it Christensen, Rudiger, or Zuma, one of them.
Mhm.
But I do believe that the three of them do have it in them to step up, especially under the guidance of Thiago Silva. And I
Mhm.
think knowing that we are linked to several centre backs, we've brought in Thiago Silva, and they know that Chelsea's record was pretty poor last season, and
Mhm.
they do have to step up. So I think under the right guidance, under this pressurizing situation, I think whoever steps up amongst them deserves to stay at Chelsea. And I think
Mhm.
after this season, we'll be able to make a clearer choice amongst who to keep, who to not keep at the back, and
Mhm.
whether Declan Rice should be used as a defensive midfielder or a centre back.
Mhm.
And if he is to be used as a defensive midfielder, then we'll have to see whether who we move on from the squad, whether it be Kante or Jorginho,
Mhm.
the basis of fitness and the role they play in the team and how Lampard wants to play. And
Mhm.
both of them are in their later 20s. I think Kante is 29, Jorginho is
Mhm.
about 27, 28, if I'm not
Mhm.
wrong.
Mhm.
And if both of them do leave, they will get us at least 50 million plus. Kante should go for like 60, 70 even now. He's still one of
Mhm.
the best midfielders in the world. He's a
Mhm.
world class midfielder. And
Mhm.
same for Jorginho. He's a specialist. For what he does, he's one of the best in the world.
Mhm.
He's a regista, and yeah, whichever team does want to play in a style that requires such a player, they're
Mhm.
going to come for him with all guns blazing because he's one of the best in the world at what he does, and
Okay.
he can definitely get us big money as well. So it completely depends on how Lampard sees the situation in and what he sees in Declan Rice, and
Mhm.
which player
Mm.
has suitors.
So, like, 6 players now with Mendy and Declan Rice coming in. Would you guys think that that's the end of the transfer window for this time around, or do you guys still
So
have players to fill in?
for this window, I think that would be suffice, especially perhaps even considering the squad we have.
Mhm.
I would be fine if we don't sign anyone in the January window as well. But that
Mhm.
is to see who fits well and how the squad fits in together, and how they perform up till January. And
Mhm.
that is a very speculative aspect, because we don't know. None of us know Lampard's first 11. It's probably difficult for Lampard to know his first
Mhm.
11 yet because the likes of Mason Mount has just come back from international
Mhm.
duty. Kovacic is suspended right now, so he can't play in the first game.
Mhm.
Callum Hudson-Odoi, he's probably had a difficult first season under Lampard, although he was really good under Sarri at the closing
Mhm.
stages of that season.
Mhm.
And he's been injured and everything, and he's still young and he can step up. He's worked
Mhm.
hard throughout this since the Champions League finished. He's not gone on a holiday. He's stayed back home. He's
Mhm.
stuck in. He's trained hard and he's stuck around at Cobham.
Mhm.
He's working
Mhm.
really hard, and we
Mhm.
saw it against the Brighton game, and we saw it at international games about a couple of days ago, versus in
Mhm.
the under 23s, I think, or under 21.
Mhm.
But yeah, so we do have a deep squad, and we've signed some phenomenal players in Kai Havertz, Hakim Ziyech, and Timo
Timo
Werner, of
Werner.
course.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's a lot of people are saying that Havertz is like a traditional number 10 or whatnot,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
football's moved on from that position, and
Mhm.
we don't need a number 10 anymore in modern day football. But
Mhm.
again, Kai Havertz got 27 goals and assists in Bundesliga last
Mhm.
season, and that's not a joke. Those are good numbers. Same for Timo Werner.
Mhm.
People are suggesting that Timo Werner won't be a success in the Premier League because of the He's not going to get as much space as he did in
Hmm.
Bundesliga. He's a pacey player. He's not a traditional number nine.
Hmm.
So it's there to see how Lampard plays. Whether we play with two strikers, whether we play Timo Werner as a number nine,
Hmm.
who plays where. It's very speculative, and I think we've got a tremendous squad. I think we can, we have two whole squads to play. Like we have
Hmm.
22 solid players,
Hmm.
and I think that's what's important. And again, looking at expectations from what this window has created,
Hmm.
I would say that even if we do, even if we don't win the title, which is obviously a tough thing to ask,
Hmm.
there was a huge gap from what Liverpool and City have achieved in the past two,
Hmm.
3 seasons.
Hmm.
This season, I think from Liverpool till United and Chelsea, there
Hmm.
was almost a gap of 30 points, if I'm not wrong, at least 25.
Yeah,
33 points.
Yeah, 33
33.
points.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So yeah, so what I'm trying to say is there's a huge gap between City and Liverpool and the rest of the pack that is
Hmm.
chasing them. And with the likes of with Chelsea bolstering their squad, United coming in there as well,
Hmm.
uh, Jose Mourinho at Spurs, Arteta at Arsenal, the chasing pack. The biggest priority right now for these clubs should be to close this gap down. And
Yep.
anything better than that this season will be a bonus, and they should be commended for that. And
Okay.
I'm very excited for this season.
Cool. So I just want to put this thing out there to all three of you.
Man,
Out.
the important question is what's gonna happen with Kepa, man? Who's gonna buy
So
him for
me-
70 mil? Who'll buy
I would
him?
like to comment on that as well. Like, obviously, since we've signed Mendy now, as we hear, obviously Caballero is going to move on. We're going
uh-huh.
to keep Kepa. And the thing with Kepa is, if you did follow Lampard's presser, or if you do follow whatever backstory behind it was, the same thing that, how what happened with Lingard is this season, Lingard was struggling with, some personal problems in
Hmm.
his family and etc. So Kepa did have some issues back at home, which probably were definitely visible on the pitch. And I think if you look at the 2018-19 season, which was Kepa's first season, he wasn't bad.
Hmm.
He was pretty good. He won us the Europa League semi-final in the penalty shootout. He's one of the reasons why we actually won the Europa League
Hmm.
later in the later stages. And I think he was pretty decent. Chelsea had a good defensive record that season, and
Hmm.
pretty much we had the same defense. It was just Kepa in goal with better performances from him and worse performances from him. And the goalkeepers and strikers are such positions where if you do lose, you're there on your own. So if you do
Yep.
lose confidence, it takes a lot away from your game, and I think that's very important. And when he was benched with Caballero, and when he came back to the squad versus Liverpool in that FA Cup quarterfinal or something,
Hmm.
Kepa made that phenomenal triple
Triple
save.
save. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
We kept a clean sheet versus Liverpool, and he had a few string of good performances. But then again, after COVID, again, it came back to his recent poor performances. But again, with Mendy back, with Chelsea signing Mendy, who's
Hmm.
also young, Kepa
Hmm.
also young.
Hmm.
Mendy does seem to be like a temporary fix, perhaps because we haven't signed him for big bucks,
Hmm.
and who knows what's in store for the future. But I definitely see Kepa there at Chelsea for this season, fighting for the number one spot, trying to motivate each other, both Mendy and Kepa.
Hmm.
And if Kepa does get a few good performances in, I'm sure we can get a buyer sooner or later. He has a 7-year contract at Chelsea. He's not going away anywhere. So I'm not worried about that now with Mendy here.
Cool. So just wanted to put this thing out to you guys. Out of your current squad, who do you think is a player to watch for this season? Like Chelsea has signed so many players, and with United and City as well. Who do you think would take that next step and be very be very important to the team this season for you guys? Sarang, I'll ask you, who do you think would be the player to watch for you for your team?
honestly, I think this is going to be Phil Foden's year to
Mm-hmm.
shine. He has what is he's gonna get 20 goals, 20 goals this season. But
Mm-hmm.
look at his form after the lockdown, and now with a legend like Silva leaving, he finally has that sort of game time. Although he was also given a lot of game time
Sarang,
last season.
your mic is getting muted because of the fingers, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
yeah.
So so I think he's gonna have his breakthrough season this year.
Mm-hmm.
He can play as a winger, he can play as a attacking midfielder, and alongside De Bruyne, who's the best player in the league,
Mm-hmm.
and City's attack, sort of this fluid attacking formation. I think he's gonna be the young breakthrough star for sure.
Cool, cool.
He's the one to watch.
What about you, Hira?
To me, it should be number one. It should be Mason Greenwood season because
Mm-hmm.
I want him to prove it again that this he's not just a one season wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know we are also linked with Jadon Sancho, but unless that deal or as you mentioned, Fabrizio Romano's "here we go" doesn't comes up, I am not going into that.
Uh-huh.
So I believe even if Jadon Sancho comes up, that would be a good competition in the
Uh-huh.
squad. So
Mm-hmm.
one Mason Greenwood, second again Bruno Fernandez's entire season.
Yep.
So again, he needs to actually show that it was not just a fluke performance coming up into the Premier League from the Portugal's league. So those two players I am looking out, and maybe in case if we have a signing in the form of a left back, maybe Alex Telles or Sergio Reguilon, which we are linked.
Mm-hmm.
Could be because Regulan, I actually like him as an attacking left back. So maybe I'm trying to see on that aspect as well.
Cool. What about you, Rohan? You guys have signed a lot of players, but out of all the new players, your Timo Werner, Hakim Ziyech, and then your Kai
We didn't talk
Havertz.
about Ben Chilwell. We didn't talk about Ben Chilwell. I completely
Yeah, Ben
forgot about.
Chilwell is also there, and
Yeah.
the goalkeeper coming in. Who do you think will step up right away and would be a decider in Chelsea's, maybe fighting for the title or maybe just fighting for top four?
It's very difficult to say, but if I would have gone with Hakim Ziyech if he wasn't injured already for the first couple of weeks, but
Mm-hmm.
because just the pass in the Brighton game that I saw that it led to Werner's goal, that was pretty exciting to see, and he's got that ability to find those killer passes, and
Mm-hmm.
just the physicality is probably one of the issues that comes when you talk about Ziyech. But I think our breakout, the most key player to our team and this season would probably be Timo Werner. I would like to say, just
Mm-hmm.
because even last year, although Tammy Abraham scored what 16, 17 goals in the league,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, he missed. I think he was in the top of the list at big chances
Missed.
missed. He
Mm-hmm.
had missed about I think 33 big chances, and I think that went a long way to how we finished the season. And we struggled to score often in some tight games against low block teams. And I think with the clinical striker, with an eye for goal always, and being a fox in a box kind of a mentality,
Mm-hmm.
I think Timo Werner could bring that goal scoring edge to the team where we're very instinctive, very threatening. We
Mm-hmm.
just kill games off,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's what's important this season because we've not struggled with creating chances.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Timo Werner's 20 goal season.
Cool. Cool.
Uh,
Cool.
just one point I wanted to bring into.
Uh-huh.
Don't get me wrong. For Chelsea's, you said about Hakim Ziyech might be the performer, but in the past, it has been the cases that Chelsea have bought players who have actually scored against them. At times, it was Basel with Salah scoring a goal against them. At times, Kevin De Bruyne scoring. But when Chelsea have brought them, they actually didn't shine. So,
Well,
don't you think
that's
that
that's a
factor
lot.
might
That's a
work?
completely it really that's just a coincidental thing, and I think the stages at which Salah and KDB were brought into Chelsea, and when Hakim Ziyech's being brought into Chelsea is completely
Yeah.
different. I mean, those when those people came to Chelsea, they weren't proven. They were youngsters who were just coming onto the scene, and KDB probably didn't get enough chances, and he at that stage of his career he wanted to play, and that's why he left. And I think that's fair on him, and I think Chelsea made a poor decision there, and that's fine. But for Mo Salah hit his prime at what 27, 28. So I mean, no one can see that coming, and it's really unfortunate that um, he did. I mean, fortunate for him, but unfortunate for Chelsea that he turned out to be the player that he is.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no way for us to see that on the basis of the performances that he gave us. And I think just because Hakim Ziyech scored a goal against us doesn't really mean that he's not going to be a good player that he is
Mm-hmm.
just because he's playing for us. So I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
Hakim
see that
Ziyech
as an issue.
right now is I believe is in his prime, 27 years
Yeah,
old, and then Chelsea can definitely get good 3 to 4 years out of him, and then probably move him ahead.
and he
Uh,
came at a bargain. He was a bargain.
yeah,
He came for cheaper than what
Ajax.
They
Yeah,
signed then what United signed Donny van de Beek for. And I
35.
would like
Yeah.
to respond to what
But
Mr. Hirak said earlier in the podcast. He mentioned how Donny van de Beek might be like a like a substitute for say Pogba or Bruno. I don't see Donny van de Beek coming to United over Real Madrid just to sit on the bench. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure that's not the reason why they signed him. And perhaps he did make a wrong decision to come to
See, at
United
the end
because
of the day, I would say that in United, Pogba is very injury prone, so he misses almost half of every season being injured, or maybe because he had a spat with the manager earlier before
I think on Donny van de Beek, I think he had a deal with Madrid. It was
yeah,
all set. He
yeah.
had agreed terms. But due to the lockdown or the COVID situation, I think Madrid pulled the deal. So
Exactly.
as
I think they
in
have
this
every
window
reason.
also, I think Chelsea are making the most of it because clubs such as Bayern, Real, Barca, they don't have any money.
Mhm.
They're not sort of buying players. So it's the sort of buyer's market out there.
Mhm.
Plus
Whoever can come with
Chelsea,
the
plus
cash.
Chelsea had a transfer ban as well,
Yeah,
so
which
that
Yep,
is the
served
money they
yep.
saved.
served as a blessing in disguise in the end because
Yeah,
we were able to integrate our youth in a very phenomenal manner,
it was
and they all
very
stepped up
tight
on
for
the field.
Chelsea, by the way. If in the last day, if Chelsea might have lost to Wolves and United and Leicester would have drawn the game, it would have been a completely different transfer window. But I still believe Chelsea would have splashed the cash, and Abramovich must have splashed the cash for the same.
We haven't
Uh,
cashed our own cash yet. It's coming.
it's
But
yeah.
but the other point on Donny van de Beek point, also United are going to play lots of matches this season because we have the Champions League to play as well. So I believe having a group of midfielders of the same category, because Donny van de Beek, his roles at times advanced 10 or a 8, or at times he has played as a double pivot as well after Frankie De Jong went to Barcelona.
So
So
what
at times.
happens to Fred? What happens to Fred? What happens to McTominay, who were probably your best squad players,
So
who
so
were?
basically,
So
so
Rohan,
basically,
for this.
if you see post COVID, when we have gone with the lineup of Bruno, Pogba, and Matic, so there we had to go with a single holding or midfielder in the form of Matic. But when you come up with a other formation where Pogba plays advanced, so then you would need to go with a two-man pivot midfield with the likes of Fred or McTominay. So with the games, we also have Carling Cup, we also have FA Cup. So we need to use those midfielders somewhere or the other. And I
Also,
I I am not sure what happens with Fred, because I also read somewhere he was linked as well, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
the point I would like to make over here is that the drop off from Donny van de Beek, Pogba, and Bruno to McTominay, Fred, Pereira, Lingard is so huge. Is so huge that United need those kind of players, and United probably need better squad players. Like
Exactly.
you talk about Chelsea squad, your midfield is stacked. Like I was thinking about, I believe you have the best midfield in Europe, maybe at this point of time. You have got Kante Jorginho, you have got Ziyech, you have got Hudson Odoi, you have got Pulisic.
Kovacic, Kovacic, Mason Mount.
A lot of you guys are stacked more than Manchester United is. So I don't think so. That's you know.
I think also this season there are going to be a lot of injuries. Like players have played a lot. There's going to be a
Hmm.
burnout. So the stronger you're sort of benching, the most. That's why I think United may struggle because one injury to Bruno, and I think they'll just fall like a pack
Yep,
of cards.
yep, yep.
No, so one
So you
injury
need
to
to
Bruno
strengthen the
and
bench. That's the
Hmm.
whole. I
one
sort of
injury to
think.
Bruno, and then that is where we need Van de Beek to step up, because we need Van de Beek to be also complementing Bruno's role.
Yep.
And
True.
also you might have seen last season, Ole wasn't actually trusting his bench, the players you
Hmm.
mentioned in the form of Pereira and Lingard. So I believe them to get a exit door.
Yeah. I read a stat somewhere. Out of the 10 most played players after COVID, six were from Manchester United. Out of the
Yeah,
10
Ole's
most.
rotation policy was pretty.
Ole does not rotate. He
Yeah,
doesn't trust
Ole's
So
his
he
bench.
rotation
doesn't
policy.
trust the bench, and that's the point. So okay, kind of moving ahead from this conversation. Just wanted to bring in one topic over here. We have got probably the most talented group of managers in the Premier League this season. We have got everyone, and there is one particular manager. I just want you guys to, have a say on that manager, and that's Bielsa. And Leeds are coming up, who
Exactly.
were one of a big team back in the time, and Leeds are coming up. What do you think? Like, for Pep Guardiola, I believe he worships Bielsa. Maurizio Pochettino worship him.
Pochettino.
Yeah.
Even
So
Diego
Sorry.
Simeone, I think,
yeah,
kind of worships
and
Bielsa.
Leeds have a history with Manchester United. Leeds definitely have a history with Frank Lampard as well, because of the whole
Spygate.
spygate that he did with Derby County. So, what do you think
Stop
about?
crying, Frank Lampard. That was the chant, right?
So, what do you think? And their first game is with Liverpool, and we'll get to know how good they are under Marcelo Bielsa. So, what do you think about him?
So, to me, first of all, Leeds coming back to the Premier League after 16 years. So, if you see during this time, they have had 15 different managers, five owners as well taking in charge.
Mhm.
With the last one being Marco Bielsa, who came in 2018, and what a transformation he has had.
Mhm.
So, definitely, with the type of formation he tries to go in games in the championship with a formation of 3-3-1-3
Mhm.
formation, and more of a hectic, or where he wants his players to give a run, more put up the hard work.
There's something which is known as Bielsa press as well,
Exactly.
which
So
is very similar to Klopp, the way Klopp plays the game.
yeah, the fund
Gegenpress.
of Klopp's Gegan pressing, which he
Mhm.
brought in England.
Mhm.
So I am expecting actually Leeds. Plus, they have signed Rodrigo from Valencia this time
Mhm.
as well. So I am expecting their team. They have Kevin Phillips as well, a good midfielder.
Mhm.
So I expect them tomorrow with Liverpool. Also, they do give them a tough fight, and this season should be a very good season for them. I am expecting at
I
least.
believe they have got a Chelsea academy player, Bamford,
Patrick
as
Bamford.
Bamford.
Patrick
Bamford.
Bamford as their
Patrick
striker.
Bamford.
So, what do you have to say about him, Rohan?
Yeah, I think he was alongside Solanke. He was one of those youngsters at Chelsea, who were always almost there, but
Mhm.
never really made it. But I think
Mhm.
he's a really talented player. He's
Mhm.
unfortunate to not have made it to the Premier League earlier in his
Mhm.
career. He's I
Mhm.
think 25 now, 24,
Yeah,
but
25,
he's
24.
still got a long way, and I think he's pretty good
Mhm.
alongside Rodrigo in like a. I don't know if he will play as a central striker, whether they'll go with two in the front, which is
Mhm.
unlikely. But it'll be interesting to see how much game time he gets with Rodrigo there.
Mhm.
But I'm looking forward to finally seeing him in the Premier League. Getting my focus on him finally as a player. And one more thing, I think Leeds are also trying to get Draxler.
Yeah,
To
I
sign
heard that
Draxler,
as
which is
well.
I think phenomenal. I think considering they've just come up from the Championship
Mhm.
and to the Premier League, and the ambition, it shows how much ambition they have
Mhm.
and the project, how much faith the owners and the fan, and how
Have
much faith everyone has in their project.
Have
And I
anybody
think,
seen their Amazon Prime
yeah, no,
thingy?
it's on my list. I'm supposed to see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. The
their
owner is
manager loves the team. Their owner loves the team.
loves the Italian guy,
Yeah, yeah.
and I've heard he's friends with the owners of PSG as well. I think Nasser Khalifi. So
Okay.
maybe they could buy a sort of minority stake later. So Leeds look like a club with big ambitions.
Yep.
I think they
Yeah.
have a great fan base, great history, and now world class manager for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, they've got that culture in them, which is
Yeah.
something some clubs in the Premier League missed, and I think he's going to bring that. That I think the people in England would be loving this promotion. The
Mhm.
atmosphere in the
It's
locals.
the first time I'm excited about a team coming from the championship to the premiership. So before that, we don't talk about the championship teams who are getting promoted to the Premier League, but yeah, Leeds definitely are up there. Cool. So, moving ahead, I just want to wrap up things and would want to understand what your top four looks like, and who do you think will win the Premier League this season. So I'll start off with Sarah.
This season exciting. tough to predict.
Uh-huh.
But I think I'm gonna go City first, Liverpool second,
Mhm.
Chelsea third, and Arsenal fourth, and
Okay.
United. Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
the gap is I think going to be less. I think Lampard and
Mhm.
Solskjaer, their sort of goal is to close the gap to like 10 points, 15 points,
Yeah.
rather than the 30 points. So I think
Mhm.
it's gonna be like that. Yeah,
Okay.
and
What?
Arsenal look amazing, so that they're my dark horse pick for this year.
Cool enough. Cool enough. What do you think, Rohan? What's your top four looks like?
I think Liverpool haven't made enough transfers. They haven't
Uh-huh.
had enough fresh legs come into this team that has been
Mhm.
playing week in week out for the
Mhm.
past 2 3 seasons, and
Mhm.
they're gonna, like Sarang said, this season there are gonna be a lot of injuries, and I'm
Mhm.
afraid Liverpool are gonna struggle in that, and especially with Wijnaldum also probably looking out to a move to Barca.
Barcelona.
And
Yeah.
if they do sign Thiago, then it's a different ball game.
Mhm.
But because Thiago is probably one of the best midfielders in the world alongside KDB,
What a player, man! Yeah,
Mhm.
and
one of the best.
he's just very, he's beautiful to watch. And I think in to come to my answer, I think City. I think City probably going to win it this year.
Mhm.
I don't see Liverpool. I don't see Liverpool doing a double.
Mhm.
If I were to say from a completely fan base perspective, I think Chelsea is in it as well. I
Mhm.
wouldn't rule us out for the title.
Mhm.
We're definitely in it,
Mhm.
and I do, like I said earlier, and like Frank has specifically, confirmed in in his pressers that he's here to win. He's
Mhm.
not here to make the children play or
Mhm.
whatever, like everyone says.
Mhm.
So the main focus is to shut that gap down, close it
Mhm.
down, challenge for the title. And
Mhm.
that's if that happens, I'll be more than happy. And
Mhm.
so my prediction is probably City or Chelsea top two,
Mhm.
Liverpool third, and I don't know, it's just something I see in Jose Mourinho. Probably it's
Mhm.
my bias from the recent documentary I saw or whatever,
Mhm.
but as a Chelsea fan and having faith in Jose, I think
Mhm.
I'd see Tottenham coming forth if they're able to keep their injuries, because they were on our tail throughout the season until
Mhm.
half their squad became injured.
Mhm.
And with the new signings, and probably if they do sign another striker to help Harry Kane
Mhm.
and give him some backup, I think Spurs can definitely finish that fourth. And
Mhm.
if United sign Sancho, then I'll be backing them for fourth. I see it
Mhm.
happening.
Mhm.
But without that prolific front three, whether it be Grealish or Sancho or someone like that, to give their front three rest,
Mhm.
then probably. But otherwise, I see Arsenal and United, fifth, sixth, whatever.
Okay. What about you, Hirak?
So I believe in case no, I don't want to say that United will win, but but if I say or take the chances, yeah, in case City get Kolibali, I actually don't see a chance stopping them actually honestly to win the league
Mhm.
this season, because with that defense,
Mhm.
I think they won't be leaking goals which they mistake they did last season.
Mhm.
So for me, mostly it's City first.
Mhm.
It could be either of Liverpool second, or it could be second Spurs and third Liverpool.
Hmm. You
Fourth
are putting up Spurs to be the second position.
it could, because this is Jose Mourinho's second season, so I
Okay.
believe they can do it. So it could be either of two or three. United,
Uh,
obviously, in the fourth spot.
uh,
I won't rule it out, but that second, third, and the fifth position, I will be putting up between three teams. That is Spurs, Chelsea, and Liverpool.
so you are putting City, Spurs, then United, then Chelsea, Liverpool, or Chelsea,
Sort
Liverpool,
of,
and
sort,
okay.
sort of, sort
Cool.
of.
That's
But
that's something. That's something. Cool. So just wrapping it up.
The
One
the
last.
thing I'm really surprised with, if I may say, that Chelsea and United, they're supporting Jose. These guys,
Yeah,
Chelsea
man,
sacked
Chelsea has
Jose,
everything
See, I
to
and
don't see
well,
Jose
United
doing.
well,
were
well.
made a document
United
made
have
by Jose.
always
Man, I don't
United
think
have
he's worth it
always
anymore.
respected and supported all managers who have been at the helm. So even still, we have loved and we have supported Jose Mourinho when he has been there as a pundit or whatever. So it
Football
has.
has passed him by, man. I don't think his game
Yeah,
is relevant anymore.
So,
I don't.
so
It
that
doesn't
that's
work.
a that's a
That doesn't
different
work.
case that Jose is not in his prime, and yeah, so that I agree. But then respecting manager Jose being at United, and I think post Sir Alex till now, I think Jose gave us the best results with a second place finish.
That was there,
I,
but
I think talking about Jose specifically, I think that whatever you want to call it, like that break he had, that did him a load of good. He took his time, thought about how he plays, and what Saran's talked about, how his football is not relevant or whatever is outdated. I think that's definitely not true. I think if Spurs had the backing, that if they had the luck that's needed, the players that needed to stay fit and everything, they almost squeezed into top four, and Chelsea and United could have just stepped
I
out.
I
Anything
believe
could have happened.
I believe Sarang wanted to say though his
I
football
think I think what I was trying to say was his style. I think is
is
it's the
irrelevant. He gets the
era of sort of
results.
this high press, possession based, or sort of this
Uh-huh.
direct physical sort of football. He's sort of defensive, parking the bus.
Yeah, that's the old thing.
If you look at
If
Spurs,
you look at
they
Spurs
went
play,
So
from
I think for that they have again gone for Hoiberg. He needs he has Sissoko as well. He always relies on sturdy CDM players.
yeah,
So
and
again he has got,
that's
and
the
he
base
has
of the midfield.
got Doherty, who can actually play as a right back, or if he goes with a three at the back, then the role he was playing at Wolves.
He's not going to go three at the back. But if you look at Spurs, they had Aurier earlier, who was also attacking fullback, right? So what used to do was Davies used to slot in, and they used to play three at the back
Slot in,
like
and
that.
Aurier used
Yeah.
to play
And
forward. Yeah.
similarly, Doherty is going to go attack now. And if you look at how Spurs played, they had Ali, Son, Kane, all and Lucas Moura in that front four. All four are attacking players. They're not defensive players. They're players with
You
ambition
missed
who
you
have an eye
missed
for the goal.
you missed Stephen
Hey,
Bergwijn
you
as
guys have faith in him. I don't.
Well, I personally rate him higher than Pep. So I mean,
Okay.
Oh wow.
so I'm
Okay.
not going to
No,
go there.
Let
whatever he has
others. Okay.
achieved with teams like Porto, with teams like Inter Milan, that is definitely something I would definitely put it ahead of what Pep did with Barcelona or Bayern, because those teams were actually there. And with what he did with Porto and Inter Milan, nobody expected him to win the Champions League with Porto or win the treble with Inter Milan. That was something that was
No,
out of the
I
box.
totally respect, but I think post his Real Madrid
Hmm.
stint, I don't think he's the same man. I don't. He
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 won the league
turns
with
teams
Chelsea
toxic.
when he came
No,
back.
He turns
his
teams
tactics
toxic.
might be old. His tactics might be old in these
People at
days.
United hated him. You could not watch a match. It became boring. He
I
was sacked
agree.
from
I agree.
Chelsea.
There were problems.
United style of play has always been attack, attack, attack. And then if the management brings a manager who is defense minded, who
Hmm.
says that we don't need the ball, we need to maintain the shape. If you remember Inter playing Barcelona.
Hmm.
So he's a manager of that style. But then at times Jose Mourinho used to also say the job was to get the job done, get the points. So
Hmm.
that what matters at
Cool.
times.
So I just want to. That's the last thing that I'm just putting out there to you guys. Uh, who do you think will be the manager who has most pressure and might be the first one to get sacked? Just one answer
Uh,
from all of you.
to me, it is David Moyes because his first seven fixtures are actually too tough.
Okay. Okay, Sarang for you.
Like in the entire like Prem,
I would
or
I, I
like
would I
just the
would put
top
it
teams, or
I would put it for the top six teams.
Okay.
top or just the top six.
Hmm.
To me, it would be Frank Lampard.
Hmm.
Nah, man, they'd never sack Lam. They'll sack Ole. I think they'll sack Ole if he doesn't get a trophy or top four. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
for you, Rohan.
I mean, I don't see anyone getting sacked in the top six right now,
Uh-huh.
especially mid-season. Definitely not.
Uh-huh.
I think all Chelsea,
Yeah,
Liverpool, no,
tough,
sorry,
tough,
Chelsea,
tough though.
Arsenal, United, Spurs. All four have projects that have just begun, and
Uh-huh.
now they're being backed. Liverpool are at the end of their project, and Klopp has too much respect at
Hmm.
Merseyside to be sacked. Same goes for Pep. Pep is
Yeah.
not going to get sacked unless they have a horrible run in Champions League again, and
He's on his
He's
last
not going to
year
he's not
contract.
going to get
Last year
sacked.
of his
No,
He's going to
contract.
no,
leave.
So
gonna
No, I
leave.
guess
He's gonna go elsewhere. He's
no,
gonna
I
go
guess
elsewhere for a
I
newer
guess
challenge.
they will. I guess if they are getting Messi, then Pep gets another chance to stay
It's not
next year. Maybe
They are
you
not
never
getting
know.
Messi. They are not getting
Next
Messi.
year,
But
next year,
but
man.
I agree with what Sarang said, that if someone, one of us, one of the top six clubs were to get
Mhm,
the sack, I think honestly I would go with Ole as well. I
mhm,
mean, Mikel Arteta would have been a shout because I don't see Arsenal doing anything this
mhm,
season either.
mhm,
But I think they're going to back him because he has something special in him
mhm.
apparently, and I don't see it, but a lot of people
So,
do. And he can bring Arsenal where they used to be, but I don't see Ole as a good manager for. I don't think he's a suitable manager for United in the long run.
so
Definitely
for
not. At least
for
not in my eyes.
for me, the only reason why I asked this question was I also feel, and I am putting Ole and Frank Lampard on the same boat. The only reason over here is that Abramovich is trigger happy owner. He has sacked managers who have given them trophies and all as well. So that's
He has also sacked managers who has won them the Champions League.
yep.
Yeah, but
So I.
again, if Abramovich wanted to still continue that
Hmm,
trend,
hmm.
then he wouldn't have employed Lampard. It's as simple as that.
I think Chelsea have realized that they can't do the whole short-term
Man,
approach anymore. It's like a project-based sort of build.
your mic.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Chelsea have realized that they can't do a short-term sort of one-year thing anymore. They need a
fix
project, and I think they've backed him so
tremendously.
handsomely. It doesn't make sense that they will just look
Hmm,
at the short-term games. I think
That's
he'll
what
get
I meant.
3 years.
Yeah, so the aim for this season is to close that gap down, and even if we, if we say if we don't win the title or whatever, even if we probably, God forbid, finish fifth,
hmm,
but if we play the football that we want to, if the team has potential, they're gelling in together. Because
hmm,
in a league that has so many options this year, I'm not going to rule out Everton either for top four, because Carlo Ancelotti is a special
True,
manager.
hmm,
He's
true,
got the backing. He's got a solid midfield. He's got three new midfielders
hmm,
who
True.
are all very good.
hmm.
And what I'm saying is why I don't see Frank, as long as Frank Lampard closes that gap with him and the rest of the pack, which is very possible because I think it's going to be very tight in that top four group. So as long as Chelsea play well, I think he's going to stay at least for another season, and I don't think Lampard's going anywhere. It's probably going to be Ole.
Cool, cool. Cool, guys. Wrapping this up, I believe we have had a good conversation regarding the Premier League coming up tomorrow. We all are very, very, very excited about the Premier League starting tomorrow. Let's see who comes up with the goods in the first week of the game. And thanks for coming in over here, guys. And probably we'll have more podcasts like this. With Chelsea playing their first game, United playing their first game. After that, we can definitely see what's happening with everyone, and we can probably do a podcast after the transfer window shuts and see what transfers have been there in the Premier League. So thanks for you guys coming on over here. Thanks Sarang, thanks Rohan, thanks
thanks,
Sirang,
man. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
and
Thank
hope
you.
you
Yeah.
enjoyed the podcast. See you guys in the next podcast.
Good luck. Good luck for a
Yeah.
toxic
Yeah.
FPL season. Yeah,
Good
Good
luck
luck.
for.
a toxic FPL season. Yeah.
Cool guys. Bye bye.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.